My fiancée demanded a one-sided prenup and tried to ruin my life. Now, I on-sailed the wedding and cut her off. I'm 32, male, and up until a few months ago, I was engaged to my girlfriend of 4 years. We'll call her Jay. We met through mutual friends, hit it off, and everything just fell into place. She was smart, funny, and independent. At least that's what I thought. She had this drive, this ambition, and I liked that about her. We talked about the future, marriage, kids, all the usual stuff, and I figured she was the one. Things were going fine until about 6 months before the wedding. One night over dinner, Jay brought up the idea of a prenup. At first, I wasn't surprised. I mean, it's 2024, prenups are a thing now, right? Plus, I come from a more secure financial background. I work in tech, and I've done well for myself. Investments, savings, you name it. Jay works in the creative field, which is great, but she didn't have much saved up. I assumed she wanted something that'd protect both of us. Seemed logical, but that's when shit started to get weird. She wanted the prenup to only protect her. And I'm not just talking about keeping what we had before the marriage. She wanted to lock down everything we'd earned during the marriage. Specifically, everything I earned would essentially belong to her if we ever split up. She kept talking about how she'd be the primary caregiver once we had kids, and how she needed to be compensated for all the sacrifices she'd make. Basically, she wanted to make sure she got a fat chunk of my money if things didn't work out. She even threw in some insane alimony clause, even if she was the one who left. I was speechless. This wasn't just about protecting her or making sure she had something to fall back on. This was about her trying to secure a way out before we were even married, just in case it didn't go her way. I told her flat out it didn't feel right. I said I'd consider a fair prenup that protected us both. But what she was asking for? No way. That's when the gaslighting started. She flipped it on me, saying I didn't care about her or her financial security. She accused me of being selfish, only thinking about my money. She pulled the whole, "if you love me, you'll understand" card. It was manipulation 101, but at the time I didn't see it that clearly. I told her I needed time to think. I wasn't going to jump into something that felt so wrong. Over the next few days, I spoke to a lawyer to get his take on what Jay was asking. The dude was shocked. He said straight up, "This isn't a prenup. This is a financial noose around your neck." The way she had worded it, I'd basically be handing her my life on a silver platter if we ever divorced. Even if she was the one to bail, it was that bad. So, I went back to her and told her we needed to talk. I suggested we rethink the terms and make it fair. That's when she really started to lose it. She accused me of already planning to divorce her, that I wasn't committed to the relationship. She said all these wild things, like how I might leave her for someone younger or screw her over down the line. None of it made sense, but she was getting more and more irrational. It got to the point where every conversation turned into a fight. She started threatening to call off the wedding unless I signed the prenup. It was clear this wasn't about protecting herself anymore. She wanted control. She wanted to make sure she'd come out ahead, no matter what happened. It was all about securing her future at my expense. And just when I thought it couldn't get any worse, she went behind my back. She went to my family. Somehow she convinced my mom that I was being unreasonable, that I didn't care about her. My mom always wanted to keep the peace, started pushing me to just sign the damn thing to make Jay happy. She kept saying stuff like, if it's going to make her feel secure, why not? You love her, don't you? But my dad, he wasn't buying any of it. He's a no-nonsense kind of guy, and when I showed him the prenup, he told me straight, "This is a scam, don't sign a damn thing." That's when I realized just how deep Jay's manipulation went. She wasn't just trying to twist my arm. She was getting other people to do it for her, and it wasn't just my family. She started dropping little comments to our friends, too. She'd tell them how I was dragging my feet about the wedding, how I had commitment issues. She made me look like the bad guy while playing the innocent victim in all this. The last straw came 2 weeks before the wedding. We were in the kitchen, going over final details, and she just casually mentioned that she'd set up a meeting with a notary to sign the prenup. No discussion, no asking if I was cool with it. She just assumed I'd cave and sign her one-sided document like it was a done deal. That's when it hit me. This wasn't just a prenup anymore. This was about control. She was manipulating me, using guilt, pressure from family, public perception, everything she could to get her way. And I'd had enough. So I did what I never thought I'd have to do. I called off the wedding. When I told her, she lost it. At first, she looked shocked, like she couldn't believe I was serious. Then the rage kicked in. She accused me of humiliating her, of ruining her life. She said I was wasting her time, and that I'd never find anyone who'd love me like she did. She screamed, called me every name in the book, and finally stormed out of my apartment, slamming the door behind her. I thought that would be the end of it, but of course it wasn't. The next morning, I woke up to a flood of texts and missed calls from mutual friends. Turns out, Jay had already started spreading rumors. She told people I'd gotten cold feet because I was secretly seeing someone else. She never outright accused me of cheating. She was too slick for that. But she implied it enough that people started questioning me. I had friends texting me, saying they were disappointed in me, asking me what really happened. She knew exactly how to make me look like the bad guy, without even getting her hands dirty. At first, I ignored it. I figured people would eventually see through the lies. But she didn't stop there. A couple of days later, she showed up at my place, completely unannounced. She was all calm and sweet, trying to act like she wanted to make things right. She said she'd been thinking it over and was willing to give me one last chance to fix everything. The catch: I had to sign the prenup. If I did, we could still get married, and she'd make sure no one ever found out the real reason behind the breakup. She said she'd been telling people that I had commitment issues and was unstable leading up to the wedding, but if I just signed, she'd clear it all up. I shut that shit down immediately. I told her flat out that nothing was going to change my mind. I wasn't going to sign the prenup, and I damn sure wasn't going to let her manipulate me into taking her back. That's when she flipped. Again, she called me selfish, vindictive, said I'd ruined her life. She even threatened to sue me for the wedding expenses, which was hilarious because I had paid for most of it myself. But it didn't stop there. Jay wasn't done playing games. She went after my job next. She knew a couple of people from my office. We'd all gone out for drinks a few times, so she decided to get them involved. She called one of my coworkers and fed them some bullshit story about how I'd emotionally abused her throughout our relationship. She claimed I was unstable and unreliable, and that my coworkers should watch out for me. I got called into HR the next day to explain the situation. Thankfully, my workplace didn't buy into her lies, but it was a low blow that showed just how far she was willing to go to ruin my life. And yet, she still wasn't done. A week after the wedding date, that never happened, I got a letter from a lawyer. Jay was demanding compensation for emotional distress. She claimed that canceling the wedding at the last minute had caused her public embarrassment and psychological trauma. She wanted me to pay for her wedding dress, the bridal party expenses, and a bunch of other ridiculous stuff. She was asking for tens of thousands of dollars. I couldn't believe it. I sent the letter to my lawyer, who basically laughed in her face. He told me she didn't have a case, and that was the end of that. But still, it was just another desperate attempt to get what she wanted. In the end, I didn't give in. I didn't let her lies, her manipulation, or her entitlement get to me. It was tough, but I knew deep down I had made the right decision. If she was willing to go to these lengths to try and control me before the wedding, I can't even imagine what married life would have been like. The weeks after were tough, dealing with the fallout, the whispers, and the constant questions from people who had no idea what had really gone down. Jay had done such a good job twisting the narrative that even some of my closest friends were unsure what to believe. I cut ties with anyone who seemed to take her side without even asking me for the truth. It wasn't easy, but I had no choice. I wasn't going to waste time defending myself to people who were more interested in gossip than reality. But honestly, after everything, I felt like I could breathe again. Yeah, it was messy, and yeah, it hurt to see someone I cared about turn into a manipulative monster, but I dodged a bullet. If I had caved to her pressure and signed that prenup, or worse, gone through with the wedding, my life would have been a nightmare. She would have tried to control me, squeeze every dime out of me, and probably tried to divorce me as soon as she got bored. The craziest part? After all that drama, after she tried to destroy my reputation, mess with my job, and drain my bank account, she still tried to reach out a few months later. I guess when her plan to get me to pay up didn't work, she thought she could somehow charm her way back in. She sent me this long, overly sweet email about how she missed me, how she realized she had overreacted, and how we could move past this. She even tried to dangle the idea of getting back together, saying we could start fresh without any prenup this time. I didn't even bother responding. That chapter of my life was done. Looking back, I realized just how close I was to throwing my life away for someone who didn't care about me, only what I could give her. I learned a hard lesson. Love doesn't come with terms and conditions. And if someone is willing to use manipulation, guilt, or entitlement to get what they want, they're not worth your time. So yeah, that's my story. If you're ever in a situation where someone is trying to back you into a corner like that, don't budge. Trust your gut, stand your ground, and remember, you're worth more than what someone else is trying to take from you. Thank you so much for listening to my story. If you have any thoughts, I'd love to hear them. So please leave a comment. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you want more stories like this one.